Hello and welcome to another episode of Page Burners. We are working our way through the Malazan books in publication order. We just finished our read through and discussions of Memories of Ice, and today we are going to do a full series spoiler discussion. Um, with all the topics pertaining specifically to Memories of Ice. We may bring up other things. Everyone here has read at least the Malazan Book of the Fallen. Most of us, some of us have read all of the Esselmont books too, and I guess Shannon, you've read some of them. Mika and Jared have read all of them, perhaps multiple times. And so I think we'll do spoilers probably for the entire Malazan series, depending on what these guys want to bring up. I myself have only read the Malazan Book of the Fallen. Um, like I said, we're working our way through the Malazan books in publication order. We will get to an Esselmont book soon, but the next book coming up is going to be Blood Follows by Stephen Erikson. Then we'll read House of Chains. After that, the first Esselmont book will be After Midnight Tides, because that's what comes up in publication order. Everyone will go around introducing themselves, and then we'll get into the spoilers. Shannon, could you start us off?
Sure. My name's Shannon, and I am mostly just kind of around the forum at Page Chewing. And what about you, Jared?
Hi, I'm the Fantasy Thinker on the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel, and I'm also on the Speculative Speculation podcast and panel chewing with Steve and the Oscar Project on film chewing podcasts as well.
That's
Wow.
an impressive
Okay,
list.
I guess I'm the only one who's not on forums and podcasts. Hi everyone, I'm Mirka. I'm just really happy to talk about Malazan, so that's why I'm joining this group.
Very nice.
That's the best.
Yeah, I think what does everybody want to talk about? I have a list that we can work through, some of which I have no idea why I put on there, but we'll figure it out. But I want to kind of start with Dragnipur, if that's okay with everyone, because if there was a lot, and specifically with regards to, I think, what happens in Toll the Hounds a little bit. I think it's safe to say that the first time I read through the series, I had completely forgotten all the information we learned about Dragnipur in Memories of Ice. So I was very confused at a lot that happened in Toll the Hounds. But now that we've reread Memories of Ice, a lot in Toll the Hounds became suddenly pretty clear. I think some of it did, at least. Starting with the fact that I didn't remember that the Warren of Darkness had its entry point in Dragnipur, and that all the souls were maybe in the Warren, or maybe keeping it closed, kind of like the Rip and Mon that needed the soul of the Kachain Chamal and then the Jagged sister to keep it closed. Does that sound about right? So
Wow, that's interesting. I don't know. I know like Draconus is in there, right?
mhm.
And we get a little bit of him in this book, right? Telling us something about
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
somebody
I
goes.
thought mostly the souls had to do with like pulling that wagon to try to keep it away from the Chaos Warren that's chasing after it.
Hmm.
But
Oh
there is,
yeah, that's right.
but it's in the darkness. Warren is underneath the wagon, but also basically being dragged with the wagon. Because he came up with this whole plan of, I've got to keep the Warren of Darkness safe from chaos. And
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I was really amazed at how much they laid out in this book. I mean, it's pretty much all laid out. Like, and I didn't remember any of this by the time it becomes applicable in Toll the
Into all the
Hounds.
house, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I just thought,
Yeah,
I was just amazed. And then there's the sadness that never needed to do it. Like you find that out all like right out the bat. That like
Yeah.
this never needed to happen.
Yeah. And I feel like that had some mild echoes to the Tilanimas sense of futility do with what they were up to a certain extent, because whatever it was they were trying to do, it was kind of a losing battle, but also something that they probably never needed to do in the first place, because the world sort of heals itself. There's always a new tyrant. It's not something that you can solve. It's a problem that's bigger than you and will likely resolve itself. So whatever it is that has been done here is likely misguided
Hmm.
and cost a lot more than you the ROI is low.
That's a good point. And I think we get a lot of information, but we don't get that much information about how and why. And I'm not sure if anyone here read Karkana's trilogy. I haven't. So I'm
Hmm.
assuming that maybe like those things that are discussed in book three of the main saga will be directly related to whatever happens in Karkana's trilogy, and it will kind of tell us about like why the entry to the Warren of Darkness had to be concealed in the first place. And I guess we didn't find out this book, did we?
Not that I know of. I think, and that we don't find out in Carcanis yet either. I think that's probably coming in book three
Oh,
of that series, which he's writing right now. But um, which I'm very eager to find out that the creation of the sword. But that's to be answered, I guess. Yeah.
hmm.
But I feel like we got a bit of a mild explanation in that I think Draconis, do we know by this point that he was sort of in love with Mother Darkness, right? And he was trying
Mhm.
to help her
Hmm.
fight chaos, and that's why he forged
Yes.
Hmm.
Dragnipur.
Yeah. That was the reason behind it.
Mhm.
Like all weapons of mass destruction, things don't always go as planned. But
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you meant they were created out of love.
All weapons of mass destruction created for reasons of love. Right.
I always wondered where did the chaos come from? Any theories there?
Well, in this, there was that point in this book, and I thought it was so cool. How we already knew that like there's houses, and then before the houses there were holds, and then when we learned that about the whole wagon and everything, we learned that before the holds there were like migrations. Like it's Steve's anthropology like sticking out, I think, because he's kind of like going back and like before people lived in tribes, they were migrating all over, and that's what the magic was doing. The magic is just migrating around. Now, I think there's still some questions like how does this exactly work? Because but yeah, I don't know, but just because yeah, because Draconis was concerned about a collision between darkness and chaos. So I don't know. For some reason, they migrate.
So you think like chaos migrated as well, and maybe it was like always chaos against magic, and
Mm.
then
Well, what Draconis says in this one, yeah, he said like they migrate, and it's a natural migration, and he thought they were going to collide, but they never were going to because it's just this was the natural order of it. And then by doing what he did with Dragnapur, he changed the order of it and now actually put darkness at risk.
mhm.
We also know from I think book one that chaos is sort of the space between warrants, right? Which kind of makes more sense to when you put together what we learn in this book about what's his name, Cruel. Cruel, how he used his being to impose order on chaos, and that's how the warrants were born. So chaos is sort of the in between areas of the
Yeah.
order.
yeah, that's interesting. That's kind of like the the dark matter in between
Hmm.
space, in between atoms and stuff.
Yeah, I like that. I like that picture. So there was one other thing about Jagnipur, which was interesting that I didn't know. I learned from an interview that I watched. I don't even remember which one it was, but so do you guys remember the scene in Toll the Hounds when Anamanda Rick is talking to the priest? I forget the Endes Silan. Is that his name? Um,
Sounds maybe right.
no, or maybe it's not the
That's a
priest,
name.
maybe it's the warrior. Yeah, that is a name. We don't know if it's the priest. um and he puts Dragnipur down for a moment, right? He like sheets it in a rock or something, and the rock starts vibrating, telling us just how heavy the sword is, or how big a burden that sword is. And I thought that's just because of the number of people inside. But Steven Erikson said in an interview that it's all Draconis. That's how powerful the man is. And the
Mm,
what happens
wow.
in that scene is telling us how powerful Draconis is. So I was wondering if you guys knew that, and if there were clues about that elsewhere, because I just thought, oh, the number of souls, or just the sheer weight of what the sword is intended to do. But he said
Yeah,
it's Draconis.
Huh.
that's real
What?
cool.
Yeah, I didn't know it at the time, I don't think, but I do remember in Dust of Dreams when he returns to the world, everybody kind of knows. Like it's
Right.
felt. It's felt everywhere. Like people feel it, whether they
Hmm.
knew it was him or not. They felt something, and
Hmm.
so that kind of tells you his level of power. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense if you take, like, we saw a lot of Lady Envy in this book, and we saw how crazily powerful she is, and she's his daughter, right? So,
Mm.
um, it's just a really, really powerful family, I guess.
Yeah. It's, yeah, that's just how funny is it. Like this powerful god person names his children envy and spite. There's some metaphorical thing there. It's just about the things
Yeah.
that move the world, I'm sure.
Yeah. Just wait till you read Cacanus.
Ooh. Okay. Excellent. Um I
I
guess
always thought
yeah.
that dragons should be similarly powerful, or, let's say I would put him on the same level as Caladan Brood, for example.
Hmm.
Um, but maybe not. Maybe he's even more powerful. Even I guess they're maybe like similar in terms of they're both ascendants,
Hmm.
both really old, have been around since beginning, whatever that is. But
Yeah.
Caladan Brood doesn't. Well, he doesn't show that much in this book, right? He's
Yeah.
around. He's kind
Yeah.
of making
He's not as
decisions.
much as I
Talking.
remembered. I thought he was
Yeah.
in this book more, but it's only like a couple scenes. I think I just remember the whole hammer, scene, and I was like, oh yeah, he's in this book. Yeah, he's in this book. Try to hit a little guy with a hammer. That's about all he does.
Which Crop totally escapes.
A little guy.
But is
That's
that who
funny.
he intended to hurt? Krupp, right? Because Krupp
Mhm.
Yeah.
infuriated him. Yeah, great. No, I thought Draconis would be like, maybe it's just a coupling thing, but I thought he'd be at least as powerful as Mother Dark, say. And Mother Dark in my head is pretty powerful because I think of her slash them as the sort of primordial darkness,
Hmm.
the darkness or the void before the Big Bang. Like that's what I equate the Warren of Darkness and Mother Dark to. So I
Yeah.
don't know. This is all very powerful people, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and I didn't really think of Draconis until you just told us about Stephen Erickson's quote about him. But yeah, he's on the same level as like Hood and Mother Dark
Yeah.
and Byrne, who I kind of think of as like that next level above Animander Rake and Caladan Brood.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really think of Draconis on that level until now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard. He named his kids Envy and Spite. It's hard to think of him as a powerful person.
Yeah. He was.
Uh,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, he was powerful enough to be a consort to Mother Dark. So
that's true.
um,
Yeah.
that's something.
Do we know who their mom is? Envy
I'm
and
sure
Oh,
I
Spite?
knew that at some point. I was just
I
thinking about it. I don't remember right now.
I can't remember if it gets mentioned in Carcans.
Okay.
I don't think it gets mentioned in this series.
No,
Um,
and no,
but
and speaking of what we've read, I've read Books of the Fallen and the novels of the Malazan Empire, and that's it. I haven't read Passive Ascendancy or well, and then a bunch of the Falkland and Cloverbrooch. I've read a bunch of them. But yeah, so no, I can't. I feel like I might have known who their mom was at some point, but I can't think,
yeah,
or
it's
maybe
it
not.
might still be a
You
mystery
know
at
what?
this
I
point.
just googled it and I remembered. So I think it's mentioned in book 5, Midnight Tides, and it's one of
Okay.
the Edur goddesses. Do you remember? They were like they worship these like 3 sisters, and one of them
Not really.
is Envy's and Spite's mother.
is
Oh,
that
So a shadow person.
okay.
is is it one of the Soul Taken who what's the name of Udina's the one
I think
Menandor, is
so.
that her name?
Menendora?
Sheltata,
Is it her? Or is it? It's not Olaf.
Sheltata, or I think it's maybe the other one. Maybe not the one who was who possessed Udinas, or
Hmm.
was he possessed by her? Maybe.
Something like that. Assaulted might be a better word. uh what's some the, okay, Carl's, I think that's Carl, Memories of Mice and Men. At least it's not Memories of Rice anymore. But we'll ask him if he has more things to say about Dragnipur. But the next burning topic I have for the spoiler discussion is Belladin, and we kept hearing about Tatasale being made of 4 people. But we'll come to that. Before that, Carl, we were just wrapping up discussion about Dragnipur and all the things we learned about it as it pertains to Toll the Hounds mostly. But did you have anything you wanted to discuss about that?
No, I think it honestly felt like reading a new book, learning some of the stuff we do about Dragnipur. Like there was a lot I did not remember, and so I really enjoyed getting to go back through it. For some reason, like I remember a lot of the intricacies of a lot of the warrens, but Dragnipur and how it relates to Curled Galen and all that had just like totally washed out of my memory.
Yeah, same. And I was totally confused and told the hounds, and I didn't need to be if I'd remembered some of the things from here.
Yep. Yep.
um,
I feel the same way, which is weird too because Toll the Hounds is my favorite book. At
yeah,
least on my like initial read through, it was the one that like really hit me hard. I mean, there were many that I loved, and The Crippled God ends the series really well, but Toll the Hounds was just it's one of the all time like favorite reads for me of any book.
yeah, it's same for me. I think I still like Memories of I slightly more. I suspect I might like Told the Hounds more this time around, but that Itkovian scene just it's hard to beat. That's what I'm saying. But Told the Hounds, yeah, it worked despite my confusion with all of this. I think that's pretty neat for a book to be able to do that. So can we talk about Belladin? So again, in Told the Hounds, he turns into this whiny jackass god who goes around infecting everybody because he was abandoned and everybody forgot him. But in this book, even okay, it's I get that everybody else thinks that Belladin might be part of Tatasale because they don't know what the hell happened to him. But Tatasale herself, why am I calling her Tatasale? Sorry, Silver Fox. Silver Fox herself says there is a 4th soul, Belladin, in her, who is sort of I don't know if she detects him or she, like everybody else, is assuming that there is a part of her that's Belladin. So I was a little confused about what happened there. Was it
I
that
was too.
Belladin got split into parts, or did he, Horcrux himself, and one of him became this whiny god, and the other was in Silver Fox, or
I have a question, and it's possible because this is so detailed that it's possible no one will remember it. But does Silver Fox herself ever actually say she has Belladin inside her?
She
yeah,
She
did.
that was my
she
moment
does.
of
Yeah.
confusion, because
I
that was when I was like, okay, now I'm confused about what's really going on. As long as
yeah.
everybody else thought it was like, yeah, okay, whatever, you guys are confused, but
Yeah,
I
maybe
clocked
she
it in
doesn't
this
know.
book too, and it really confused me because I thought Belladin was the dying god or whatever, and told the hounds, and I was like, well, wait. But she literally, yeah, she says it. She spells it out in this book at least once. Yeah.
It's
So
possible then that she isn't actually aware of the soul she has inside her. Like they're like kind of like she's not consciously aware of them. So she just takes what she's been told. And I mean, that's interesting because that gives a potential insight into like, what's going on inside of her. The fact that it's not like, while it is theoretically these warring personalities, it's not this like very conscious, explicit struggle inside of her, but more of this like unconscious battle going on. If there's a battle at all, we kind of take that for granted. We just assume that there are these warring personalities because everyone says there are, but I don't know. Are
yeah,
there?
maybe it's a harmonious amalgamation, and she assumes that Belladin is a part of it.
Right. I mean, we kind of just take it for granted that like 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 equals 4, when in terms of the math of souls, maybe 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 equals 1. I don't know.
Oh, nice, I like that. That's just all kinds of wrong, but I like it.
Listen,
One.
it's magic. It doesn't have to make sense. I mean, maybe what? Okay, so remind me. I'm sure the answer is yes. Do we have other instances where people like house multiple souls in Malazan? We must. Oh,
say it again.
Fellison.
Fallison, yeah,
Fellowson, yeah.
Fellison
but she just has the
explicitly
one,
does.
and
And
she's
even then, is
been
it
possessed.
clear if they kind of meld together or if they're like battling? I guess that's something that'll be interesting
I
to see on when we read House of Chains. Is like, how does it manifest itself inside of her?
I think we saw maybe one instance of it where the goddess was trying to take control or something, and Felicin sort of told her to back off, and it became sort of a negotiation, like back and forth between them. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out in House of Chains, I guess. We never got.
Yeah, let's see. I almost thought it was the other way. I almost thought the goddess was kind of has taken over, and Felicine didn't have a say in anything. And there was a moment
Hmm.
where the goddess left for some reason. I think it was Heboric's wards or
Oh,
something that she couldn't get through. And at that moment, Felicine was very confused and like kind of
Hmm.
started thinking clearly for the first time in ages. So I think it might be quite different to Silver Fox, whereas it didn't. At least, like we as a reader, we didn't have that inside of the souls fighting. Whereas I think in Felicine, it was clearly um, maybe not a fight, but definitely like someone was in charge, and it was the goddess.
I mean, a big difference between them too is that Shaik entered a like very conscious, grown. I mean, she was still young. She's like what, like 16, but Felicin, was very much capable of like conscious thought and action. While all the souls that came together to make Silver Fox entered a baby that was, I mean, not even a baby, a fetus that then was born, and who knows, maybe that the actual like act of birth and growing up, even as rapid as it was, influenced the way those souls interacted.
I just read a thing where somebody said it was only a piece of Belladin's soul that was in Silver Fox.
Jared, we can't hear you.
Oh,
I could hear him.
why is that?
I could hear him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they said it was only a piece of Belladin's soul that was in Silver Fox, and not the. I guess Belladin's pretty powerful. He was a pretty powerful mage.
He was real big. He was Thelamin, so he was real big, so you could like kind of break off a little bit of his soul, and it was still the size of a normal person's soul.
Yeah.
Big body equals big soul.
Yeah. No, I think Varsh is right. I think it's that his soul or whatever was fractured, that it was fragmented. And the dying god that we see, like that's not all of him. That's just a piece of him. Like that's just his, I don't know, his anger and I don't know, something like all of his, maybe a bunch of his negative emotions that are all festering and create that thing.
He also just had, his heart broken by his partner being killed. So maybe his soul was prone to breaking because of all that grief and, all that happened to him and that he was going through at the moment. And then, with all that magic, his
Wow.
soul just couldn't bear it and shattered.
A literal broken heart.
Mm.
There you go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe he's like split into two. That could happen. Like Carl
I mean,
said,
he was real
anything.
broken.
Yeah, anything is
I mean,
possible in soul math.
He was dragging around her dead body in a bag. I mean,
Yeah.
he was real broken.
Yeah. He talks about being completely forgotten, right? That's one of his complaints as the dying god.
Mm.
I remember there's this one monologue in which it is revealed to us that the dying god was formerly Belladin, and his biggest complaint, if I recall correctly, is that of being forgotten, and so he sort of wants a bit of a revenge or something for that. Okay, those were my two biggest burning topics. What have you guys got? I have more, but they're all tiny, just mentions.
I had
I guess.
spoilers
Yeah.
sorry about that, Carl. For Midnight Tides, I always amazes me how much content there is in this book about events of book 5. About, Rulat, Sengar, the emperor who cannot die. And also we have that scene where they found the Idur body, that looks like it was, someone killed by suddenly appearing in a location where the pressure was really high, and that's exactly what happens in book 5. And we actually, I think, know who that other actually was, and it was, of course, Mile, that killed that either. But I remember in this book, someone, I think Paran says, I think I have a hunch that this Edur was killed by another Edur, which is not correct. And had anyone wondered about that? Like, why? Usually when Paran has a hunch, it is correct. And this time he just said that, and you're like, oh, that's probably true. That's going to be important. But then I don't think that Edur was killed by another Edur. I think it was killed by Mile or like Bug in Midnight Tides.
Does he say why he thinks that?
I think he actually says it's just a hunch.
Maybe.
And I don't think it's without a reason, but I can't really figure out what the reason is.
I mean, it's entirely possible that it's just like as simple as, Erikson. He has like plans, and certainly there's a lot of stuff he foreshadows like really early on. But I also know that he doesn't like outline the whole series in advance or anything like that. So maybe he changed his mind.
This particular one, like, it talks about him being crushed by water and all this stuff. It's very specific to how the guy actually gets killed. Like, it is pretty much spot on what happens to him in Memories of Ice or Midnight Tides. So I think he had this one nailed.
That does sound like he did then. What? Why the hell then would? I mean, that's such a weird way for someone to die that it seems weird that Perrin's reaction is like probably just another eater. Like,
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, every bone is crushed by water. Must have been an eater. Yeah.
I
We
mean,
know they do
maybe
that.
maybe it's like intentionally obfuscating or like an intentional red herring where so you don't begin to suspect it's male, even though I doubt basically anyone would, before
Yeah.
we've ever been introduced to him. Like, you'd have to read the appendix to
Is that-
find out who male even is, like who the elder god of the
true,
seas
yeah.
is. So I
When I
don't
was gonna
know.
say when Male kills that guy, isn't that when we find out that he is male? Because I think
Pretty
we just
much.
think he's the manservant until he all of a sudden is like, oh yeah, I can kill people with water, and I'm actually an elder god.
Can you
I think
guys
there
the
are
very-
hints throughout the book, but if you don't know, then you're not catching them, obviously.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I remember being completely shocked by it. It was one of my favorite. It was probably one of my top 5 twists in a Malazan book.
The
It's
reveal
great,
about
yeah.
Mail and the reveal about Bug and Mail.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the bug is male.
There was a line about how Bug snores that Tehol says, which I think kind of gave it away. It's like he says something about, "Have you heard the man snore? It's like the ocean coming in and out." And like this guy's male. This guy's male.
See, I wasn't even thinking about male, so that
Mm-mm.
I'm with Jared. It was
No, man.
one of my big, major twists that I just loved. I mean, the way it subverts the power dynamic there is just
Interesting.
brilliant.
Yeah, that line. I was it's gonna be so satisfying if it turns out to be me.
I'll have to pay attention to that when we reread it. I did not catch it the first time.
Yeah, me either.
I think that Tehol says so much that it gets lost in all the babbling.
Tell says a lot of dumb things too.
I think what was surprising for me was the way Tehol said it. I thought he knew that this guy was male, assuming that he is, but he didn't. I think that was a reveal for him, but that they were in on it together. I kind of got that sense, but I think it was just Steven Erikson having himself a laugh.
Oh yeah, yeah. Knowing who Bug actually is, and rereading that book, it just makes all their conversations so much more hilarious and just absurd. How they talk to each other, and this one servant is actually an elder god. I love that.
Yeah.
I guess if we're ready to move on, I'll say, I mean, this isn't the most fun thing to say in the full spoilers discussion, but I'm a little bit with Jared, or not Jared, excuse me, Shannon here, who's, I don't know if anyone has actually said this, but for the listeners, he has named himself Memories of Mid, and I was underwhelmed by the book on this read through. I mean, there were parts I absolutely adored, but and maybe we talked about this in our last episode, but that was several weeks ago, so I don't remember. But for the book that was the book that made me fall in love with Malazan, and was one of my very favorites on the first read. I was, and I actually had read it twice before this. I was shocked by how bored I was in the latter half of the book. Basically, after Kapustan, there was a lot of just it felt like we were talking in circles, and then things happened very abruptly, and it just didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, the ending is great. I actually love the ending, and so I don't even know that I would say it's like a mid. Like it's better than a lot of books I read, but it was really just. It was a stark contrast to how I experienced it the other times, where it was very much a highlight for me.
Yeah, Jared and I talked about this before the recording started. And when I said mid, it's not really like mid as in crappy. It's mid as in like mid of the series. Like this used to be one of my favorite books of the series. I reread it. Now it's just kind of like somewhere in the middle. Like it's yeah, and it's mostly because of the end. Um, Kapustan was amazing, as good as I remembered it being, and the ending was pretty good. But then, like, yeah, probably finding that Tistidor was the most exciting thing that happened in the back half of the book, until the ending. And so,
It with the Talani Mass always gets me. Like that's one of those moments that I'm like, I know it's coming, and my jaw is still on the floor. It's just so powerfully written.
yeah, I think, and yeah, I'll go ahead and throw this out here now because I want to get my really only negative thing out of the way early, so we can just be positive after this, at least I can. Yeah, the ending kind of like bugged me in this book, like especially the stuff with the gray swords. The first time I read it, I was like, oh, cool. Tog's, he's the mortal sword of Tog and Sandaray, and this is all going to be cool. And then that doesn't go anywhere. That literally goes nowhere. Like, we never see most of these people again. He gets killed off in Red Mask storyline, which is, I'm on record saying that's maybe my least favorite storyline in all of Malazan. And so that just really frustrated me, the ending of this book, the second time through, because I'm like, oh, none of this matters. Like, okay, he's human, but he's going to die. And then Tool is he gets turned into human. Oh, cool. And then that's going to lead into Dust of Dreams, which, oh boy, like I struggle with his storyline in that book. So yeah, so that was probably like my biggest negative on this whole book was just some of that ending stuff with Talk and Tool and all that stuff. Like I wish it went somewhere more like I enjoyed more.
The Red Mask stuff is in Reaper's Gale, was it, or was it in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which intentionally has this big anti-climax, right? Like it's one of the more subversive books in that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Red Mask, like the point is it goes nowhere. And when you have a 10-book series, you can do that. And so I am curious, or you can afford to do that. You can theoretically do it whenever you want, but like you're gonna really piss people off if it's like one book and it ends anticlimactically. I guess I'm curious to see how I enjoy Reaper's Gale this time around, but knowing where things end up with the Gray Swords, I did feel a little like, wow. And honestly, I don't even care about the Gray Swords that much. Knowing where things end up with Talk, I'm like, oh, my boy.
Yeah.
I love Tool and the huddling and getting killed. Like it's, it sucks for Tool. And now he gets a happy ending later, but.
Yeah, it all works out for him. I don't know. I actually really like his story and Hitan's story. It's really disturbing and awful, but I don't know. Well, I appreciate
the Red Mask. The Red Mask storyline also served to function as a better look. It served to function how the Kachain Chamal were going to view people eventually. So the way that Red Mask, like kind of that story kind of was like you said, it was a red flag. It didn't go anywhere, but it kind of served the Kachain Chamal storyline later on.
Yeah, interesting. So do you mean the interactions of the Kachain Chamal with Red Mask
with humans? Because the way they reacted to Red Mask is in direct contrast to the way they react to who is it? Stormy and Gessler. For a reason, because of the difference in their character,
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. Yeah. But so we talked about Talk. Whiskey Jack is the other thread that was interesting. When what's her name? Kolat says he's yours now, Hood, and that's such a literal thing now because of their future role as, I guess, the gatekeepers of Hood's realm. And yeah, and then there were a lot of references of Whiskey Jack as the Mason, and yeah, that was cool. Some of the foreshadowing there.
I'm still blown
I
away
think
by that.
Biscuit Jack's origin is a little bit mixed throughout the books. I think in some books they say he was a mason, and in some other books they said he was a nobleman somewhere in Unta.
Hmm.
I always was like, so which is it? Like, can you be both? Like, maybe. But I
Hmm.
think him being a mason is mentioned more than the other things, so maybe that was the original idea.
Well, the Mason was definitely the idea thrown out in the first book.
Yeah.
That was the original, if nothing else.
It is not mentioned at all in the Path to Ascendancy books.
Okay.
But I think that might be. I guess Erikson and Eslamon, they write separately. They don't always make sure that everything aligns and everything checks out. Which I guess it's okay. I think maybe with the story this size, it wouldn't even be possible
It's
if
not
two
even
people are involved. It would be nice if it was, if like everything just perfectly lined up
Well,
and matched.
we also
it's
you
not
always say
just
you can go, Carl.
well, I was going to just say it's not even just between Erikson and Esselmont. Erikson contradicts himself in Carcanis,
Right. Yeah.
Ah,
like a lot.
well, is
Um,
it?
and there's one
I haven't
particular
read.
one that I don't think this is like Burn's sleep is like explicitly like hundreds of thousands of years old in Carcanis, as opposed to it's apparently
Hmm.
only been like however long, like 1100 years in this series.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
that to me was like a huge like, what is going on here? Like I don't know, maybe she like, and we're told if she wakes up it's like the end of the world. So I you know, maybe that's just a myth and she has woken up and fallen back asleep, or there are multiple burns and it's a title, not a person. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
But
there's all sorts of mythology that goes
it
into that.
definitely seems like they're not concerned about continuity overly much,
Hmm.
There's
Also,
a
which
I'm
is
pretty
fun.
sure we have some unreliable narration going on too. Like we get told stuff that's not true because people believe it.
Right.
So unless I directly see it, I a lot of stuff in this series I take is because I mean the whole creation myth of Mother Night and all that. I mean, there's so many different versions of it, and I haven't read Carcanis, where presumably you'll at least get to see some of it. But like there's completely conflicting versions of what the
Yeah.
heck, who's who, what's what, who's related to who, you know.
I
Yeah.
I I think the thing that like rubs me the wrong way about Byrne is the way they all talk. Like even like the elder characters, the way they talk about her, it's not as if
You
she has
you
been
probably have a good
asleep
point about
for
that one because you're
hundreds
right.
of
I mean, we
thousands of
get told
years.
on yeah. Well, I mean the maps say what is it like 1160 burn sleep in
But
this book is what we get.
yeah, I don't know. I
So
mean,
yeah,
it's there. It's very there. There may be explanations, but it's not a huge thing. You know, doesn't make or break anything. But it is definitely something I've noticed.
Yeah. It depends on who's telling the story. You got to remember that this story, the Book of the Fallen, is being told by the Cripple God,
yeah.
and he's actually an alien to this place. He's not even from this world, and so his all his information may not be right, and it may be, and it's all the book is his book, and so then you get stories told from um, the characters in Esselmont's books who are from this world, and they're telling a different story sometimes. And the same thing with Carcanis. I don't even know who's telling that story, but it's you got to always keep that kind of stuff in mind.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think you get a lot of leeway from the fact that this is like it's a bit like the Mahabharata. It's like it's a story within story within story. It's like there's a narrator within narrator within narrator, and
Mhm.
there's a really lovely spiral structure to it all. So you have a little bit of a Chinese whisper thing going. You can forgive a lot or say, like they probably didn't have all the information, or it's fine, they had conflicting information. This person probably thought this to be true at this point. So I think it's a really interesting structure to adopt overall, because like Deadhouse Gates in theory is narrated by what's his name, Duiker, from the end of Memories of Ice, right? And then Toll the Hounds we know is from Krupp's point of view, and maybe the entire series or the whole cipher of the
Mhm.
Malazan series business. I think it's sort of implying that a large part of the series, if not all of it, is by Krupp, and then like the Cripple God wrote all of this down, so maybe he was told some of it by Krupp. So there's a lot of layering in the narrative
Mhm.
structure, which allows for a lot of inconsistency that works, and it's great. Yeah, it's really cool how that's all done.
It is cool. I really enjoy that metafictional layering, and it does allow, I think, more flexibility in terms of the continuity of what's being told. I do wonder, kind of on a similar note, what, if we were to talk about the crippled god's point of view, what do you think his purpose to including this story in Memories of Ice is? Like, what are the aspects of Memories of Ice that he felt were important to be told, including, like I think of like Gruntle, for example, and does Gruntle really do anything significant for the rest of the series? Like, I know he appears, but I can't think of something like major he does. Like, I feel like he peaks with this book.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't recall anything either.
uh,
He's in
he's
Dust of Dreams and
Told the Hounds, isn't he? Doesn't he show up with Stony and her son?
Yeah, he's
yes,
definitely in other books. I even think he's in the final two books,
he has a big
but
scene
Yeah,
in
I
Dust
don't
of
know that
Dreams.
He
he like does he
he
do
is
but this
anything
is
significant?
um
until he dies. Yeah, I think this is probably the biggest you see him is in this book.
he's in the
And even
Trigale Guild, right? He ends up on that continent with them,
yeah,
but I don't remember what he does there. But I think the guild as a whole probably has some role to play, which might be why Gruntle is mentioned here. And he has this thing where he protects that little pocket world of the Imas, right? That Kilava?
Oh,
Kilava's,
that does sound like a thing he does. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I don't remember it really well, but
yeah.
that sounds familiar. I think you're right.
I
Yeah, he
think
and
Carl,
Kilava, I think, protect that
I really
pocket
love
world
that
together.
question of what's the crippled god's point in telling this, of why this story? Because the way these books all jump around, that's a great question. I've never thought of before. And I think every book going forward, we probably need to think about that. Like, why did Erikson write this book for this? What's the point? For this one, I honestly think it's the Panion Seer. It's that theme of forgiveness because that ties directly into the end of the whole series.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, and when I think about it, I mean, probably all of the other plots in the story essentially circle back to that, some in a roundabout way. But if you're thinking about this as an individual section
Hmm.
within the larger book, The Fallen, and this one is really about the Panion Seer, then you probably do need all of those individual stories.
Yeah, this is the war against the Panion Seer, the end of it at least. Oh no, the war. This is the war against the Panion Seer. And yeah, you have that compassion at the end, which I mean, we've all established in that last video we did. I'm more about punitive uh, than helping people better themselves. But still, like I think that's honestly the biggest point of this whole book, um, in connection to the crippled god.
Ooh, so here's the other question, I guess. Then, at least some of let's argue that the last three books are sort of leading up to the story of the cripple god, right? Like Toll the Hounds. Um, so a lot that happens here is the basis for some of the stuff that happens in Toll the Hounds. I don't remember directly what. I guess the release of Mother Duck and Draconis descending has
Hmm.
is what I
Mm.
guess is the end goal of Toll the Hounds is. Um, so do you think that these events logically connect together? So we can't just start with Draconis descended upon the world, and I forget what role he plays in the end, but we led up to it with everything that happens in Memories of Ice and Toll the Hounds.
You definitely need to know everything that happens with Draconis in this book. I mean, it's important exposition to set up what happens with him at the end of the series and
Hmm.
everything around Dragnapur. And I mean, it is all like actually strangely very interconnected. I'm sure if we really dug down, we could find like some subplot here or there that like just kind of disappears. But a lot of it really does pay off, even in very unexpected ways in the final stretch of the series.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting how much is set up right at the beginning, and yeah, there are threads that certainly drop, and I think most of them are intentionally so. Um, sort of to, I guess, add parallels and counterpoints and additional layers to the themes of the particular book that they might be in, but mostly they get carried all the way to the end, which is really cool. um Before we move on, Jared says the figuring out why the cripple god tells the story the way he does is a whole other book. Is that a particular book, or do you mean there's a book's worth of discussion there?
No, I think Kyle should write it.
Oh, he said, I think Carl should write it now. Carl can't hear Jared for some reason, so we have to translate for him.
Yeah, this
Nice.
is like it's like a I you're like a diplomat or I'm a diplomat and we're like I need a translator to like go between us. This is strange. I don't know what's going on here, but it's always something.
Yeah. So some of the fun things that showed up, the Mott irregulars and the Bowl brothers.
Hell
There are
yes.
23 of them. I think we see what, two of them in starting from Toll the Hounds onwards fighting over a girl, but there are 23 of them apparently. Somebody says, I'll go take them down, and it's like, yeah, sure, how many of them are there? 23. Sort of mini army of
One
themselves.
one of the highlights. I
Hmm.
really want to read that screenplay, the Black Dog Blues.
Yeah.
I want it so bad. I want more Mata regulars.
Where they get attacked, where they attack with cakes that the Malazans apparently then eat.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a point in which I forget who it was, says they don't taste the same without all the mud on it.
Is there something unpublished about them? I'm not sure
Yeah.
I'm aware of that. Oh, really?
The very first screenplay that Erikson and Esselman ever wrote together before even
It
Guardians
was
of the
about
Moon.
Mod Irregulars and about,
Yeah,
oh,
it
I
was
guess
called
about
Black Dog
Malazans in the
Blues.
Black Forest. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's specifically about that campaign. And one of the POV, I mean, it's classic Malazan. You see it both from the Malazan side, apparently, the Marines, and the Mod Irregulars. And, hijinks ensue. There's apparently a Jagat and, living in his tower who they have to deal with at some point. And I don't know, all the little bits and pieces I've heard about it over the years, it just sounds like a lot of fun. And the Mod Irregulars are just amazing. Anytime they show up, it's a delight.
And that's Bridge Burners, right? In the Black Dog
Yep.
Forest. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I hope they publish it one day.
Hmm. That
I am
worked.
very
And I guess
curious.
speaking of
Oh, please go ahead, Mirka.
Bridge Burners, I wanted to. I think maybe we touched on it in one of the previous sessions, but I was recently reading something that Steven Erikson, I think he responded to some questions from the fans, and someone was asking, did you know that the bridge burners will die or like get uh, wiped out in book three? And was it difficult for you to write that part? And I think he said something like, yes, I knew, and it was not difficult. That's why I write. Like, those scenes are why I write books. And I just thought it was, oh, I don't know, like, for me, I'm never published anything, but as an author, I think it must be really hard to not get attached and just like kill off characters like that. And we do get a replacement of bridge burners in the form of bone hunters, of course, but to me it was never the same thing. How do you guys feel about that?
I think it's
Oh, I'm
very
the opposite.
interesting.
I think because we get to see the formation of the bone hunters, I love them so much more. Like I'm
You
like
do?
it's like the bridge burners are the guys that I was told they were really cool, and it's like oh, and they're really cool. But like the bone hunters, I get to be there and I get to see them become the bone hunters, and I don't know, they just have a
Yeah.
special place to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In a
Yeah.
way, that's a really genius move from an Erickson to be like, okay, to
Yeah.
establish this cult of bridge burners and then like just kill them off and then like build it back again brick by brick, and just like replace them by bone hunters. It's very impressive that he did that.
That's
Yeah.
some of the coolest storytelling in the Book of the Fallen in general is that he describes it as his elliptical way of structuring stories. Like you see it again with Nymander and Animander, how Nymander's sort of coming of age gives you an idea of what Animander was like, as a
Mhm.
child, as a young person, and by creating these, I don't even know if foil is the right like literary term, but I guess these parallels between these characters or these groups of characters or these events, so that even when there are things we don't see, but we can infer from, what we do see, it just adds so much richness and depth to the story being told. And to circle back to what you're saying, Mirka, I mean, in my own writing, I'm also not someone who like grieves over much. I do like writing a scene, like try to get in it, and like feel it in the moment. But like generally, I think it's so interesting to me hearing of like authors who do get like they weep as they're like writing a character's death scene or something. But George R. R. Martin like famously was so attached to Catelyn Stark and Robb Stark. Sorry, spoilers for Game of Thrones, but that with the Red Wedding, he like it was the last thing he wrote because he couldn't bring
What?
himself to write it. Yeah, he wrote everything else. He wrote everything around it, and it was the very last thing he wrote, according to him. And then you have people like Steven Erikson who like they just they can off him. I suspect like another writer who kills a lot of characters. Pierce Brown, I suspect, is similar in terms of someone who like it's going to be impactful, so it's almost like the joy of writing that, where you're like, this is it, like this is the moment I know I'm going to
Mhm.
really like squeeze the audience's
Oh, this is gonna
hearts.
be so
And
Well,
cool. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, he's just a dungeon master doing a total party kill. That's all
you can
he
kind of
is.
feel that with Whiskey Jack, the way he writes that scene, where like he's really like chewing it up, like enjoying that moment of death.
That's true. Yeah. And then you have
Yeah.
some really important people who just die and you don't even notice. Like I think the first time I read the Memories of Ice, I didn't even notice that Hedge died.
Mm.
Yeah,
When he just sacrifices himself over a more unfinished or something. I didn't even notice. Like it was just like mentioned and then like the plot moved on. Um yeah.
Hedge is one of those
Must be
characters.
some joy in that.
I feel Hedge is definitely someone who like gets much more interesting later on.
Yeah.
Like in this book, I don't know that he's like as memorable, but he definitely in the last few books, like
Well, Hedge, it's
I think
because Hedge and
especially if
Fiddler are such
right,
a team,
exactly,
and Fiddler's not. He
right.
hasn't been in. They split up after the first book, and they won't reconnect till later on.
Yeah. I love Fiddler's reaction to Hedge. He doesn't want to get attached again because he doesn't know
Yeah.
what this is
Yeah.
and he's already done with his grieving. That scene was those scenes were pretty amazing.
That was one, I think, yeah, that was one of the best use of like bringing a character back, I think, in the whole series was Fiddler somehow, coping with Hedge being back.
I agree.
Yeah. It's like done. I'm done. I've gotten rid of all my pain over you. I don't need this again. Stop it.
Hmm.
You just don't usually see that sort of character arc. Like it's often people come back and everyone's celebrating. You never have someone like almost reject the person because they've grieved them and they don't
Yeah.
want to get attached again and they don't want to hurt again. It's really wonderful and subversive in that way.
And it's also interesting because you don't see the grief on page. Not a whole lot. I think there's that nice scene where he finds a fiddle and plays it, and it's like the most haunting tune ever, which made me realize he actually learned to play the fiddle. He wasn't just carrying it around. but but apart from that, you don't really see him mourn personally Hedge. So when he comes back and he has that visceral reaction to him, it's you also learn more about the character that way, which is interesting. It's an interesting way to do character development, I think.
A big part of it too. I mean, we're going to see this in House of Chains, but like I feel that entire book is Fiddler's grieving. Like his arc there as Strings is just like him mourning
Yeah.
what he's lost,
Yeah.
and it's the Bridge Burners as a whole, not just Hedge. I mean, he lost Whiskey Jack, right? And we see him interacting with Whiskey Jack at the very, very, very start of the series. So there's this whole. I mean, it's like his life has been killed, not just one individual, and that's why he has to like become someone else, and then he eventually is reborn with the Bone Hunters, which is so satisfying.
Yeah.
Love Fiddler.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm excited to meet Fiddler again. But I had a thing to bring up about Quick Ben. So I think Mirka, you mentioned that there was something that none of the Ascendants knew that Quick Ben seemed to know. I forget what it was. Maybe it was about
That
Burn
was,
sleeping.
I think, the fact that the Warrens are Krall's
Oh yeah, yeah.
veins and body and blood. Yeah.
And we seem to be finding out for the first time in this
Yeah.
book. Right? So Quick Ben is, I feel like there's a lot more to him than we learn over the course of this book. So there is a scene in The Cripple God where he has this internal monologue where he's telling Mother or someone that like to trust the humans or something, that he believes in them, and he come like when he's basically coming back from the dead sort of, uh when he has this whole monologue that made me wonder who the hell he is. I feel like he's, at least, I don't know if there's some part of him that's just Andy and that's the part of him having a conversation. But yeah, that made me think about that scene, what you said, Mirka, about that scene in, I think it was The Crippled God, um where like Quick Ben is, I think, a lot he is, as he's portrayed, a very powerful mage who knows things and does things that nobody expects. But I think he's some kind of ascendant secretly that we never learn about.
I'm just hoping. I haven't read the Carcanos trilogy, but I'm just hoping that he will be there somehow. And I think that's many of the speculations that I've seen, and try to not like actually read them because I want to be surprised. But I think there is no way that he's not, elder god or something.
There's definitely more to him, right? And I mean, having only read the first book, I can say there are definitely things that, like, I don't know how they pay off and if we ever find out what any of it means, but there are hints about I don't even know what to call it, a past, a previous incarnation, whatever the hell. It's certainly nothing I expected. Going in, I was like, I don't know. It's interesting. Definitely encourage reading the book or the
I
books.
think it was also mentioned that he's a soul taken, but it never he never demonstrated that, right? But I think someone was saying like he has a smell of a soul taken around him.
The spices, interesting. I
I
don't
think
recall that.
so.
Yeah, no, that's
Mhm.
definitely a thing. And I know I don't remember like the depth of the theory, but like I've seen a theory that Quickbin is a human soul taken, as in like his soul taken form is a human.
Oh, and that's why, like all those
Yeah.
12 people that are within
Oh,
him made him a soul taken.
uh, that's a quick Ben is another example of multiple souls in a body.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were
Oh,
talking
you're
about that
right.
earlier. Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. Wow, that's the really obvious one,
Mm.
actually,
yeah.
considering you're doing
That's,
the whole
I say
How
that's
did
series.
we
one
not like
example.
immediately think of that?
Oh, that's interesting. I vaguely recall this too. Was it actually something that we find out in the last two books? The thing about Quick Ben being a human soul taken? Or was there a
No,
different
no,
character who was a human soul taken?
it's that's never confirmed. That's just a theory I read.
Okay.
And maybe the speculation is that he's Taistandi,
Hmm.
because there are insinuations in the main 10 books that he is Taist, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what I thought from the um that scene that I mentioned. The one in the darkness where he's arguing with someone of the dark. That he is maybe some Aramander Rake level
Hmm.
Testandi. But I don't
Well,
Hmm.
he
He
did
uses
ask Anomander to not probe into his,
Oh yeah.
soul, or like he asked
yeah.
him to respect his privacy. So maybe
Hmm.
He,
that's part of it as well. That like if Anomander did, he would immediately know. Like
Mm,
he would recognize him.
he
interesting.
That
literally
was.
uses curled Ghislaine, doesn't he? And he's like the only human we see use curled Ghislaine. Like I'm
Oh,
pretty sure that's a thing. Like I
Is
think
that
even at
Shadow?
this point, no, that's curled Emerlon is
Darkness?
Elder Shadow. Yeah, darkness.
Elmerlon.
Yeah,
Okay.
like
Because
I'm
he was
pretty
the
sure
priest
he
of
does
Shadow.
use Ghislaine.
I don't remember that. I think-
Maybe that's in the last few, but like maybe it's that moment you're talking about, Barsha, where like he talks to some, like he ends up in curled Ghislaine,
hmm,
and
I think so. I think it's when he sort of nukes himself to help the what is I forget the bone hunters against the Kachain Chamal attack, I think. And it's when he comes back from that moment just before. So maybe it's the
Hmm.
warn of there are heavy indications that that's somehow tied to darkness. I just there was an AMA where someone asked Steven Erikson if he'll ever tell us who Quick Ben is, and he said no. He gave a single word answer.
yeah,
Maybe. Maybe Quick Ben is just the next level human because there is kind of a theme in this book that humans are catching up to the gods, basically.
Hmm.
That it's their time now. You know that the ascendants are moving aside for humanity, and who knows?
Yeah. Or
And
one
the
of
way
the
to do
souls.
that is to absorb 12 souls.
Yeah. Yeah.
you,
One of the souls he ate, like okay, there is another precedent here, I guess, like Silver Fox has the sister of cold knights or whoever she is, she's an
Mhm.
elder person, right? So maybe one of the souls that Quickben ate was an elder god like this.
8. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an interesting character all around. I wish we'd learn more about him, but I also love the mystery around just who
I
the hell he is.
I'll also say in regards to that AMA, this is just another way of interpreting that potentially, but he could be, Erikson could be doing some Aes Sedai speak there. And maybe that he doesn't tell us who Quick Ben is, but he shows us who Quick Ben is. But I don't know. That's,
Ooh.
I
Yeah.
just would be surprised if we don't get at least more
Jeez.
hints
Kyle's,
just because
Kyle's
of the.
referencing all the series tonight. Game
I
of
know,
Thrones, Wheel of Time.
everything. We're getting real metafictional here.
Ooh, I threw in some Harry Potter earlier.
This is good. This is good.
Okay, what else? I think I did all my topics. Do you guys have more? There was a mention of a Tisteder Emperor, but we already talked about the Tisteder. But I think a crazy Tisteder Emperor who we meet in Midnight Tides,
Hmm.
whose origin story we get in Midnight Tides, but it was interesting to see that here already.
Another thing that I mean, it just ties into like how again subversive this series is and non-traditional. You know, Gano's parent comes back and he does do some cool stuff, but like in these first like three books, and particularly obviously 1 and 3 where he actually appears, he really is set up to like be one of the major players in the story, and he honestly takes a step back for most of the series. And even in the last 2 books, I feel like he's not as much at the forefront as his sister, for example. And I think that's so interesting. I mean, he's the master of the
Oh,
deck, but I feel like
yeah,
this is the most important he ever is.
it's fascinating because this is the most
Hmm.
present he ever is, but his
Sure, yeah.
importance is felt throughout the whole series, even though he's not as present as he is in this book, because his importance is huge once you read the crippled god. What he's doing in the background is immensely important to what's going to happen, but you don't read about it. You're reading about Tavor, and so you're right. He's here, but not there. Here, you know.
Maybe a good parallel. I mean, that's a great point, Jared. Maybe a good parallel is, you know, the likes of like Shadow Throne, who is this ascendant who began as a mortal and who, you know, is largely in the background but is doing very important things.
Yeah,
And when he does have a scene, it's a turning point,
yeah.
right? So
And
yeah, that's
Ganos
a really good point.
Ganos is also another example of humans gaining more control of the situation here on this planet.
Absolutely. Is he like officially a god at this point, or by the end of this series he can like bless people? But I'm
Yeah,
not sure. Does he have a cult by the end of the series? I don't remember.
yeah. He's a god in the same way that whatever his name is over in Lethris is. Uh, what's that
The
asshole's name?
the bad guy, right? You're talking about with covered in coins.
Uh, no, not the guy covered in coins. I'm talking about the god that's the he was basically Perrin but for the holds, and
Oh,
he
you
was
say
like
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Erastus.
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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Erastus.
yeah,
Yeah, God, I hate him. He's
Okay,
awful.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Perrin's like him, but for the new system of magic.
right. But
Yeah, that's
Perrin
fair.
doesn't have that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if he has that immortality thing going on that the guards do, or if he's just a temporary dude until somebody else comes along. Like,
See, I. I got the idea that he is a god in the same way that there's what's his name over in Lethris. You know, he was avoiding trying to be a god because that gives humans power over you. So he was happy just being an immortal and being like a, what was it, a concubine or something in the palace for however long, doing whatever he wanted to do. And that's what Perrin can do now because he's not a god, so he doesn't have humans praying to him and telling him what to do and controlling him, like what happened to whatever that guy.
I don't know though. Like Jared, you make a really good point that I don't know that I'd ever thought about. That Ganos may not be immortal. He certainly has the power of a god, but like, does he live forever or can he die?
he was certainly worried about dying when he was facing off at the Fork Ruler Sale at the end. He was definitely concerned about it. But I don't know. Some of the gods can die too, so who knows?
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
The
death
gods
dies.
can definitely die. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, would he come back like Hood did, or you know? But
Or like Karul seemingly is like just like keeps. I mean, I don't know. Do we ever see him killed? But he like just like keeps coming back. He's like a cockroach. Like you can't keep Karul down. You know
God
what?
powering all the Warrens gets called a cockroach.
This I'll say. Another hot take. I've been throwing out hot takes. Probably not fair necessarily, but you know, this I do remember talking about how Dujic rubbed me the wrong way on this read through, and he just kind of pissed me off, and I wasn't a big fan of him. And he dies really anticlimactically, which sucks for him. But you know, sucks to suck.
When does he
Fucking
die?
Karul.
Which book
I
does
think
he die?
in book
Next book.
6.
Oh,
oh,
Or is it
six,
book 4?
yeah. No,
I think it's
yeah,
6.
Yeah,
He gets
Yeah.
sick and dies. Like he just like gets
Why?
dysentery or something. Yeah, it's really anticlimactic.
and then
Yeah.
To the extent that I actually didn't remember and I had to look it up. I was like, I don't remember like what happens to that
Actually,
guy.
that his death led to another important role for Genos' parent, because Genos takes over for him.
yeah, he became High Fist, right? Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
remember about Paran. He
Oh, you're
shows up
right.
somewhere, and the army is missing
Yeah,
a leader. So it's
because
like,
Whiskey
yeah,
Jack's
it's gonna be
dead.
me. Yeah,
Dujak takes him over there, and then he gets dysentery, dies, and then Perrin takes over.
yeah, he takes over.
Okay, but I want to circle back to how much Cruel sucks.
What? What?
He-
Why?
Okay,
Why?
wait,
When did
So
this happen?
manipulative. He's so manipulative. He talks a big game about like being like, you know, he's all like, oh, compassion is so important and blah blah blah, and like he seems to like have like humans, you know, best intentions, but like he is like just pulling everybody's strings left and right, excuse me, and you know, doesn't seem remotely apologetic about it, doesn't seem to feel remotely bad. I mean, I get it. He's an elder god, right? Like he's been alive for hundreds of thousands of years. Who even knows what his origins are? He's not he's an alien being in many ways. Like he's not from a different reality like the crippled god, but he, you know, and the way he thinks, of course it's going to be different. But it's still like, I don't know, you know? I mean, this is very like atheist brained of me, but like the way he's just like such a manipulative like prick, it just like rubs me the wrong way. And I'm like, screw this guy. I don't know.
Well,
I think
he's
more than
described as
anything,
a good guy, and so that probably means
exactly.
that the crippled god thought he was a good guy, and you know,
The
like
crippled god is a
think
terrible
about
judge of character.
and we get in Guardians of the Moon, we get introduced to Karul as like, here's his temple where they sacrificed an untold amount of people to him. So I mean, he's a god that,
Yes, blood
I
magic
don't
is
know.
his thing.
Yeah, like so he's.
No,
I never thought he was a good guy. Like right off the bat, he's like, oh, he likes people getting killed for him.
he okay, so like relatively to like some of the other people we get introduced to, you know, he's not like pure evil or anything. Like I'm not saying but like I think to me it's just the hypocrisy that like he talks as if he is this very like high-minded, noble figure, and yet he is so shady. I mean, he's no better than Shadow Throne.
What elder god doesn't have a few skeletons in his closet? You know?
Yeah, no joke. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's great. Don't get me wrong. Cruel, amazing character. This is not a criticism of the writing at all. I just don't. I like on especially on this read through. I'm just like struck by how much of a jerk he is. And I liked him on the first read again because I think I just like took everything at face value. And now I'm like looking at him like you like you're not very kind to people. You know, you're like to their face. You'll like kind of say nice cryptic things, but like you will happily essentially enslave them and make them miserable for the rest of their lives, or even like get them killed or tortured, like talk, if it furthers your goals. And I guess this gets to the question of like, you know, do the ends justify the means? But I do feel like basically the moral of every story that asks that question, the answer is no, the ends do not justify the means. So I don't know, man. If Cruel has no haters, then I am dead.
How much did this book make you guys want to know more about the Segula?
I do want to read a book that really goes to their island. I will say that.
Oh yeah, I love I love the book that goes into them more.
Okay, that does happen.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a book. Interesting. I kind of.
Yeah, one of Esselmont's books goes a lot more into them.
Yeah,
Oh.
Orbs of the Throne goes a lot into them.
Interesting. I kind of feel like I got everything I needed about them. Like they're great, but I'm done. Thank you.
They've got Dragon Ball Z culture. You know, it's just who's the strongest. I mean, actually, that's an interesting question. I don't know if this counts as a spoiler or not. But like, is there more to their culture?
Yeah. I mean, you get to see how is that taken to the extreme? Like, you know, whoever is the mightiest rules, and that's their system. That's how they run. That's their government, and you know, you get to see how that goes, and you also get to see kind of a little bit of their origin. Where did they come from? So, like, how you know? I think they're really interesting.
To me, they're most
definitely interesting, but I'm not sure if they are crucial to the story at all. Like, to me, they seem like a cool filler race that you just, you kind of admire, and like they are so mysterious and so different to everything else. But then I don't think they have any like direct impact on the main story, or do they? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't remember.
I like them as just like a foil, or a threat.
Yeah.
Like, to me, the most interesting, and maybe this is what happens in Orb Scepter Throne, but like having some outsiders who like have more of a personality than like, I want to be the strongest there is, like stumbling onto their island like Animander Rake does, like that to me sounds like a great time. Like I would enjoy that. It's like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Well, you get to see several of them with like different people. And you get to see, like, like I said, kind of like their origin, and I mean, how they have a connection to the Morants that you learn about, and kind of how they're connected.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There's a bunch of societies or nations or races like them in this book and in the series that, like Mercury, you said, they don't have a huge impact on the crux of the series, but they're all there, like the Segula, the Moranth, the Crimson Guard, and other ones, and it's just another fascinating little thing that, like, the first time I read this book, I really latched on to that. I thought they were the coolest thing ever, and then on a reread, I'm just like, okay, yeah, it's those guys, yeah. And I wanted to get more into the theme of the story, and I just found that fascinating that he can throw in these different things, because it kind of expands the world at the same time, letting you know that there's other stuff going on in the world besides just this, and it just makes the world feel more expansive and more, I don't know, lived in.
Yeah, because of the attention to detail, like they're not just mentioned. There is this whole culture that they thought of and described in detail.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty awesome. Actually, you're right. That even though they are not important, if you consider that they still cared enough to create all about them and give us all the details.
Yeah.
In Memories of Ice specifically, I feel that they do serve a thematic purpose as well, which is a lot of this book, and I think Deadhouse Gates as well, is kind of about like cycles of violence, and the intersection of that with like the circle of life. And the Segula are like that taken to the extreme. Like, if you think of like the circle of life is sort of just like might makes right. Like, whoever's the biggest predator is the king of the jungle, right? And that's kind of what the Segula are. Is like, okay, who is the lion?
Yeah, and are they good or bad? That really depends on who the lion is. And
Right.
that's kind of terrifying to think that one person could mold a whole society like that just by being the strongest.
It also, I think they maybe are very intentionally meant to, it's not a coincidence that envy enslaves them with like a flick of her wrist. Like obviously in like a literal in world like power level whatever, of course she's like an elder being, like she's old as hell, she knows a lot of magic, but I think it is this kind of intentional subversion of that, or not even just subversion, but like an actual like critique of the frailty of building a whole society around martial
Yeah.
strength. That
And
like inevitably you're going to come up against something that you can't be beaten by, right? Like even if it's just a natural
mm.
force, like you can't, you know, shoot a hurricane to death. It just doesn't work.
and also along with the Segula, another thing in this book I really liked was just like the throwaway Mekros that we learn about. That there's these people that live on like floating cities, and I just think they're fascinating. And I don't know if we ever learn more about them, honestly.
That
Yeah.
is really cool.
The Morath, you barely
I,
a little bit about them.
I want more of them so bad, actually. Like, I think the Moranth are super cool. I actually don't think I appreciated them enough on my first, like, full read through. This time around, like, I'm eating up
Yeah.
everything. I remember Shannon calling out the, like, epigraph about how Twist is this, like, apparently iconic hero. And we, like, barely see him, Like, he's
Yeah.
cool. And we get moments of pathos. Like, when he's talking about, are the Barghast gods going to, like, accept him when he dies and things like that. But I want more. It's
And
it's
that
it's
was
brilliant though that
and that
that
was
you
one
do
thing I
want
loved
more,
about this
right?
book too, was the Barghast gods, by the way, since you brought them up. That was probably one of my,
That's great.
actually, I don't know, almost one of my favorite things in this book was the Barghast gods, them coming back and just all that stuff with them. And uh Telemandus, I loved him.
He is great.
He is definitely my hairlock.
Boo.
Sorry.
Good thing
I think
Steve isn't here to hear your heresy.
Bosh, you're
Wrath
muted.
hairlock.
Sorry, yeah, I was agreeing with Carl's declarations of heresy, but you know what? I I think the seventh or eighth, no, I think the ninth and tenth books, they have this stick figure who moves between fires and talks to the bar guest, and I may have mistaken that. I had completely forgotten about Telemandus by that point, and so I think I thought that that stick figure was what's his name, Hairlock, but I think it's this guy. But headcanon, Hairlock lives.
What is dead may never die.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, but Telemandus was cool, and I did love the Bargus gods. I love the reveal of them on the boat. It didn't hit me quite as hard this time, but the first time, for some reason, the fact that they came all the way across across the ocean from that other continent in boats, and that their and that's their origin, like that's revealed to them, that somehow was felt like a really big reveal the first time around when I read it. Maybe because I already knew it was coming, it didn't feel quite that big this time around. But I'm trying to figure out why it felt like that. But maybe it's some sort of, oh, we always thought we were here and never, and this is our origin, but oh, we got this whole other story going on where we actually came from this other continent and our ancestors came here in boats, and the people we've made, the gods that we worship today, are actually the people who came here originally. Like the gods are humans, that you came from a different place altogether. Sure, it's not another planet, it's around the world, but as far as the technology in this world is concerned, it could be another planet. So yeah, it felt like a really big and important reveal to me.
Similarly, to my mind, it's an enormous reveal that isn't. I feel like that plot important, at least after this book. But I mean, talking about how freaking awesome the beginning of the book is. Like, I'll after shitting on it, I'm going to talk up that like it has one of the best openings to any of the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and the bit with like Burns' children and these just like giants holding up her ribs is like crazy. Like, there's so much implied there, and the visuals are spectacular. It's just one of those amazing sequences in this series that I feel like you could just like unpack it, have a whole discussion about that. There's so much going on there, so much implied. It's spectacular.
Yeah, I really love the history of the Jagged in the IMS in the beginning prologues, and I really love how the we get to learn a lot more about that in Carcanis when you guys get around to that. The Jagged stuff in there is just amazing. So you'll just wait till you get there. It's fun.
Hopefully he'll be done with it by the time we get there. That's what I'm crossing my fingers for.
Another of your this will happen by the time we get done predictions, because you got your broken binding edition by the time, technically, by the time we finished Memories of Ice. So, so we're holding out for the
Yep.
completion of the Carcanis trilogy by the time we're done with the series, which
We just had to delay a good month. We made it.
yeah.
But
I
this is a
mean,
big series. There's nothing wrong with going slow. So
yep. Big commitment, but take it slow for maximum enjoyment. Anyway,
you don't want to get burned out. Believe me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do want to say I had a realization reading this book that the Jagged are like straight up one of my favorite fantasy races. Like, just excellent. I think they're so interesting and so
they're
cool.
so cool. They're so
and
cool.
all the characters, they're hilarious.
Really?
And they're tragic, and they are unique but feel archetypal at the same time, and I just adore them. One of my all-time favorites. Like, I think maybe my favorite fantasy race in this series, which is a high bar because all the Teist are awesome, and the Kachane Chamal and the Barghast and the Toblakai. Like, there's so many great races, but just something about the Jagged, just like,
When you're
again, I could
talking
go
about
off.
Jagged, do you include Icarium? I just wonder, because he's technically not a Jagged, right?
Oh, that's a good
Half
question.
Jagged?
I guess I was
He's
kind of.
half Jagged, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he half count?
Is he half hilarious?
No, I always considered him a Jagged, and then someone corrected me, and I mean, I knew that, but it just, like, in my mind, he falls in that category.
I do relate him to the Jagged.
Well,
I'd agree with that.
His power level is definitely there. I mean,
Well, more importantly, does he have that same dry sense of humor?
Yes.
Does he have you seen Icarium be funny?
Yes.
Oh.
What?
I
All
think
of
he,
Dead
I
House
think he does
dates.
say. I feel like he does have like little one-liners with Mappo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he and
Okay.
But he's
Mappo.
also a very tragic character, so I think that kind of like
Yeah.
distracts from the funniness, I guess.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Mappo's like, I guess we get buried so much in Mappo's musings of Icarium's tragedy that it's hard to focus on Icarium's humor. Maybe.
I love those boys.
Mm-hmm.
Mappo's story breaks my heart every time. I talk about something now that I know where it goes. It's like every scene with him hits harder.
Yeah.
That's gonna fucking break me at the end. Oh god, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. That's actually one of the deaths that hits me the hardest because it's at the end and it's so pointless. It's so pointless and tragic.
And it happens before he finds Icarium, right? Right?
No,
Do we
Icarium
get a
kills him.
reunion? No?
Doesn't it? Isn't that how what happens? Doesn't Icarium like have like one final freak out and kills Mappo, and then like finds his body and doesn't remember him and has to like bury him, but he like feels some connection with him.
It's the worst. It's terrible.
I
It's
swear that's
horrible,
what happens.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn. I didn't
I
remember.
know. Yeah. I know Icarium finds him and doesn't know who he is, and it's just like, it hurts.
But that also happened in this book with Talk and Tool, right? Like, they don't, I guess Tool remembers, but Talk doesn't know or doesn't remember Tool at all. And they had, this really profound friendship, and it's also very sad.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I lied. Icarium thankfully does not kill Mappo. He dies defending. Or excuse me. Yes.
Yeah.
Mappo dies defending Icarium.
Hmm.
And then yes, he does not remember him, and that scene breaks my heart.
Yep. After you sent Samuel, try to get back to him.
And this is after Icarium already did his second reset of Warden thing, right? Which is another thing that I did not fully understand, and I'm looking forward to understanding more this time.
There's a little bit more of that in The God Is Not Willing.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to No Life Forsaken November? It's coming out in
October
November.
28th.
October 28th.
Ooh,
Oh.
Very excited.
fun.
Mirka, we haven't heard a ton from you lately. Any spoiler thoughts about all this?
No, I think we pretty much covered. Wait, what specifically? Like any other topic you mean, or
Anything.
Jagat still?
I mean, I always want to talk about the jacket. I don't know about you all, but
No, I just wanted to say that what Jared said, that there's a lot of Jagat stuff in the Karkanos trilogy, makes me really pick it up again. I did start the first book and I couldn't get through it. I think it was a little bit too much for me at that time. But I do want to go back and read it. Maybe I'll wait for the third book, and hopefully there'll be plenty of answers and Jagat.
my
Maybe the
understanding,
third
I
book
will
will have
say,
us know more about Quickben. Sorry, go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, I think the second book has more than the first. I read the first; they definitely have some some good jacket stuff, but I think Erikson even said that in our interview with him, because I think I mentioned my favorite thing in Forge of Darkness being like the jacket stuff, because there was actually some levity and the rest of the book is so depressing. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is.
and like whatever the light name is, the sequel I guess has more levity and more jacket.
Fall Light. Yeah, well, because it has more tragedy too. So
I'll take it. That's the balance I live for.
But yeah, but was Raced in Memories? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
briefly.
Because
Yeah.
I love how in Gardens he's kind of like the big bad, and then he becomes like just a butler of sorts for Asimov.
Yeah,
And I think that's that turnaround just cracks me up. I love that.
absolutely. I think my favorite scene, it used to be the Itkovian scene, but now I think it has to be when Paran says, "See you later," and Ray says, "If you must, if you insist."
Yes. One of the funniest moments. I was about to reference that same moment. I'm glad you did. It's so good.
That is the best.
Race
And it
literally in that.
makes you want to use that in real life sometimes,
Right?
right?
If you insist.
Oh, I gotta remember that. I do.
Just bring a little more of that jagged sass into real life. Like I think we all deserve that. So one question I have that kind of occurred to me throughout our reading this book that we couldn't really talk about in as much detail as I wanted to, in the non-spoiler chats, is what are your thoughts about Taishrin and Lasine and the kind of higher ups in the Malazan Empire, knowing where the rest of the series goes.
Wow, that's it. It's absolutely fascinating because the because you don't get much of them in the rest of this series. You get a lot in Paths to Ascendancy, um, and so it's hard to answer that with just in the context of the Books of the Fallen. But in you get some in the novels of the Malazan Empire too, but the the whole relationship that the whole empire, Malazan Empire, expanding into these different areas is is like becomes secondary to this whole story in the Book of the Fallen, but is still prominent in the other series that Esselmont writes, especially, and it's really fascinating the dynamics that go on with those characters in those series. Um, Esselmont really brings them out very well, and it's kind of funny that you don't you find out what happens to Lasine much later on in this series,
Right.
and it's kind of tragic because when you get a different perspective in the other series, you get this perspective of she's put in a very bad position by Shadow Throne taking off the way he did, or how it worked out with Shadow Throne, and and so you start to feel a lot more sympathy in this Book of the Fallen. You don't feel
Mm.
sympathy for her at all, hardly ever, and so it's really fascinating how they differentiated the and Tayshrin too. He's you hate him in the first book, and as the series goes on, it totally gets twisted around. It's unbelievable how they manage to work it all.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I agree 100%. Having read Path to Ascendancy really changed my view of Daishren, and it's really something else when you read that and then go back and read these first three books of the Malazan Book of the Fallen. And yeah, I also agree that Lasine, she did what she could with the Empire. Basically, like if she wasn't there, the entire Malazan Empire would not really survive. Maybe, like I don't know. She just stepped up and took the role. And I know there was maybe not what the Kanvat and dancer wanted in the first place, but they were gone. They they followed their own paths and their own ambitions, and Lasine just kind of took over because she had to, and she wanted to as well. Of course, she was ambitious, but she also was the remaining one of the three leaders, right? So she kind of had to do something about it and make she had to make her role official, I think, for so that she could feel like I'm sure she felt like she deserved it. Like, and that's what the stories tell you. Like
Yeah,
the Esselman books, they tell you all about that, and you start kind of thinking like, okay, if I was her, or like what should she have done other than just trying to take over?
yeah. She was fed up
Yeah,
with how they were managing the empire. She was fed up with it. Yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot. There was a lot. There's a lot there. It's fun.
That's relatable, Like I can get that. Like I love Shadow Throne, but he's a pain in the ass,
Yeah.
and that's just a fact. So I get it. I don't like Lasine, but I'm open to changing my opinion. I'm very curious to see if Malik Rel gets any sort of, I guess, the latest book. dealt with him?
Forge of the High Mage deals with him, but you still won't like him, guaranteed.
Okay, he still sucks. Well, there you go.
But I'm kind of glad, because how do you turn around what he did in Dead House Gates? How?
No,
You
he's the
compound
worst.
it by what he does in some of the novels of the Malazan Empire.
Well, you don't turn it around. You just make it go in the same direction.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, he's awful.
Yeah.
He is. He's a very. He does his saving grace, if you can call it that, is he's actually very efficient at being a ruler when it comes
Yeah,
around to
he's
the.
better than Lucine. Yeah.
Yeah, Lysine becomes even more sympathetic. If you.
Interesting.
Yeah,
The
it
one
was
thing
definitely too much for her, I think. Oh, like she chewed off more than she could take, and then
Mm-hmm.
Malik comes and is naturally good at it because he's so ruthless and just doesn't question all those things that maybe Wasim questions.
Well, I think, and I mean, no, not to get much into it, but I mean, he does what we think she did, but he does it better. And then she didn't really do what we think she did. She did it for better reasons, but she was never good at it.
interesting.
That's
The
fair.
one thing I will say for Malik Rel, at least what I know of him, and I have only read the first two of the novels of the Malazan Empire. Uh, Shadow Throne also commits atrocities, so and you kind of come to like Shadow Throne by the end of the series, even though he's like actively ordered atrocious things. Okay, I kind of come to like Shadow Throne by the end of the series. I
Like
don't know. I feel like he gets
Killian very honest.
yeah, Cotillion definitely is the more sympathetic of the two, but I feel like in a big way the series is about both of them finding their humanity more again. That said, Shadow Throne continues to be a prick. At least he doesn't pretend to be anything he isn't, though. Like he's a trickster god.
But they are the ones who orchestrate the whole release of the cripple god, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
they're like the masterminds behind it.
Hmm.
That's like the most morally good thing that Shadow Throne does, other than adopting a bunch of orphan children.
Does Path's
Yeah.
to ascendancy go into how and why they decided to do this with the cripple god?
That's a good question.
What
Oh,
was that?
with the
Like they are the ones who orchestrate the release of the cripple god, right? So does Path to Ascendancy go into, like, as part of their adventures within Azath houses? Is that how they discover the existence of the cripple god and what happened to him? And
Not
I
yet.
don't think
Not.
so.
okay,
I don't think
No.
they get into that yet. No.
mm,
Or he doesn't get into that yet. It's more the creation of the empire, so the path to ascendancy. So
I see.
I don't think I don't recall anything about the cripple god at this time.
No, I don't
Interesting.
think so either.
That's something that I'm very curious about on this reread. If like you can piece together more of their motivations and their
Mm.
plan, because at this point, I am struggling to understand why their solution is like why these two characters are motivated to liberate the crippled god and send him back whence he came versus just killing him.
I think it's because he's poisoning Burn, and they send them back. That stops.
I mean, I guess that's fair. Like that makes sense. And do they think maybe? Yeah, I guess that you just would expect that would wouldn't be a problem anymore. I do wonder if there's the risks that he released unto his like full omnipotence lashes back out at you, or if he's unable to do that. I that's the thing I'm unclear on too. By the end of the series, is exactly what state the crippled god is in. Like clearly he goes home, but like it seems like he maybe can still like. I mean, just given the existence of the Book of the Fallen, he can still like look into the Malazan world, or maybe it's just like looking into his memories of his time there. I don't know.
He published the book in his world. He wrote a travelogue from his time.
Yeah, that's what we got right here.
Have we addressed the fact? I forget if it was one of our discussions. Someone brought this up, or if I was listening to some other interview that Kaminsad is like Cam Esselmont
Yeah,
and Steven Erikson. It's like
Yeah.
their names like
It's-
thrown together. Kaminsad is
Wait, where's the sword? Where's the Stephen? I guess.
Lund. Is it? It's from his real name, London, isn't it? Because his like real last name is
London. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
didn't know that.
It's just kind of a mishmash of their names a little bit.
Yeah.
nice. I like that. That's especially cool given the reveal about the cripple god wrote the Book of the Fallen.
Yep. The meta.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of those all-time great like end of series reveals.
Mm-hmm.
Blew my mind.
Cool. Any other topics before we wrap up? Crickets. That means we're done, right?
I'm excited for Blood Follows.
Yes,
I'm
me
back.
too.
I'm rejuvenated after our break, and I'm ready to dive in.
Yes, me too. I'm excited for it, and it's a book I haven't read before, so yeah, it should be fun. Talking about that next week.
It's a book I haven't reread.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. I haven't either. But I'm looking forward to it. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
My memories, I liked it.
Wicked fun.
It'll be my first time. It should be fun. Cool. If you're still listening, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you with Blood Follows next week. And we'll take a few weeks off before we come back with House of Chains by Steven Erikson again. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Bye.